Well, I can tell you, Mgitywa, certainly will not be crunching those numbers alone. We've got analysts that we'll be speaking to. We've also got our own colleagues from the research department who will also be helping us unpack those numbers, as you rightfully say. Predictions coming in, of course, the CSIR having modeled some of those numbers. So we'll be bringing you those statistics as the day progresses. Of course, numbers are trickling in, as I said earlier. 37% of the votes have been counted so far. But thank you so much, Mgitywa, for that. But for now, we are crisscrossing to our reporters across the country. And let me bring in our reporter, Chriselda Lewis, now, who is in the Alberton Results Operations Center. Chriselda, a very good afternoon to you. Talk to me about those numbers that you're seeing at the moment.
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Nati, live, as you indicated, from the Alberton Civic Centre. And this is, of course, where we'll be monitoring the results from Gauteng. You would know, of course, that key metros that we're looking to here would be Johannesburg, Tshwane and Ekurhuleni. Some of those results also coming in. If we look at the ANC in the city of Johannesburg, as per the CSIR's earlier predictions, the ANC losing greater percentage of support, the DA also losing, but a key player here seems to be ActionSA, getting about 10% of that projection according to the CSIR. The biggest casualties so far looking like it will be the ANC and the DA. I guess the question, Unati, is has this got anything to do with the Joburg residents having experienced Herman Mashaba? He's of course got a history with the city's residents, and has he gained that support? They have an affinity to him and his work. We look at Ekurhuleni, the ANC also losing a support, falling just above 38% from 48.8%. That was in 2016. And the DA also losing support from, I think, about 38.5 to 30.4. The EFF in 2016 at 10.9%. And this year projected to be at about 12% according to the CSIR. ActionSA again, which was not there, standing at about 10.4% according to the CSIR. Looking at Tshwane, I mean, the ANC and the DA running neck and neck. Indications there will be at about 33% for the ANC and for the DA at about 34%. That kind of scenario, you would recall, Unati, similar to 2016. For a long time, the two were running neck and neck, but in about the 40% range. So let's bring in our political analyst, Makhosini Mgitywa, who joins me now live. He's with you on that neck of the woods, Unati. The political analyst, Makhosini Mgitywa, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks indeed for your time. So from what we're seeing currently, I think let's start with the city of Johannesburg. Certainly ActionSA making inroads from the predictions that we currently have through the CSIR. What do you make of what we have currently pertaining to the city of Johannesburg?
Look, I think the most important thing for me, good afternoon to you and to the viewers. I think the most important thing for me is that ActionSA has run probably the best campaign of this election season. And I'm saying that because it was in the mainstream media, your traditional media, but also in new media, social media. It was quite an effective campaign. And the fact that Herman Mashaba has been mayor of Johannesburg does, give him some advantage. But I think the most important thing is that they came with a very sleek, a very good campaign that happened during the time when there's voter apathy and dissatisfaction with the ruling party. And also, I think their growth potentially is going to be at the expense of the Democratic Alliance, because he was a member of the Democratic Alliance and most of his guns have been pointed at the Democratic Alliance and the ANC. And I think there is also appetite amongst voters in this province, and Johannesburg in particular, to have a new voice, to have a new face in the political scenario. Chriselda?
Mr. Mgitywa, I mean, what could attribute to this? I spoke a little bit earlier on about, the history that Herman Mashaba has with the city of Johannesburg's residents. What could have been that draw card for ActionSA that seems to have been attractive to the residents of the city?
I think there is general fatigue and disillusionment much with the political processes in South Africa. I think the way we elect our leaders, how leaders are elected, is not really what voters would like to see. I think voters would like to see a bit more representative democracy instead of what we are having now, where we elect parties and those parties decide who they send to the various spheres of government. So I think people want something new, and I think the positioning of ActionSA is that of something that's new. You'll remember that most of their posters were talking about people being hurtful with politics or something like that, and that is generally the sentiments among many people, and that they see something that's fresh, something that's new, and something that they can give a chance. But also it's not totally new, because the leader of that particular political party is someone who has been in government, who has a track record to talk about.
In Ekurhuleni, the similar casualties could also be the ANC and the DA. What could that be attributed to? Because obviously, in the running of those campaigns, it seems like ActionSA would also be tapping into a bit of that support of the ANC and the DA.
Look, I don't know if in Ekurhuleni, ActionSA is going to emerge as strong as we expect it to emerge in Johannesburg. But you cannot look at one metro in isolation. This is a city region. Gauteng is a city region, and I think throughout history, liberation movements take over power, and when they start to decline, that starts in urban areas, and you can't find a place that's more urban in South Africa than Gauteng. So we can expect the decline to start in this region steadily as it has been happening, which is what has made me to say a couple of weeks ago that coalitions are a future in this particular province, and it appears that's where we're going. And I don't think that's a terribly bad thing, because parties that are in a coalition sort of keep each other in check. You don't have one dominant party that is expected to exercise oversight over itself. And now I think more parties are going to emerge, particularly in Gauteng, but it's not going to be limited to Gauteng only. Other urban areas in other provinces as well, this is going to happen. But particularly in Gauteng, you are expecting to see coalition parties. I think in Ekurhuleni, which has been governed by a coalition led by the ANC up to now, it has been a fairly stable coalition, though there may be questions about its service delivery record, but politically it's been very stable, and we can expect that the next coalition should be led by the ANC as the previous one was.
That kind of stability, though, we've not seen in Tshwane. Political instability there has been quite rife from what the CSIR is projecting at this particular point, possibly neck and neck. What is likely to come out of that, in particular because you've had residents, for example, in places like Hammanskraal, where they've been unhappy about the quality of water. Would we in Tshwane, for example, see the similar kind of political instability if we continue to see a neck-and-neck arrangement that we see currently as projected by the CSIR between the ANC and the DA?
Maybe before I answer that question, my view about Tshwane is that what made that municipality or that metro to be unstable is that there was a ganging up against one party, where you have opposition parties or political parties that don't have much in common with each other, but their shared value, their common value, the common deciding factor is that they are opposed to one political party. And, I think that's what has led us to see the kind of instability that we saw in Tshwane. But given the track record, that is not, it's a checkered track record in Tshwane. I don't think that, the DA, if it does, return with a majority, it's going to be that big a majority. In fact, it's highly possible that we can see the ANC emerging, which will be voters saying they disapprove of what has been happening in Tshwane. The number of mayors, there has been a revolving door in that city council of mayors coming in and going. So voters can't be happy with that, because it does impact service delivery, and there's a documented evidence to that effect. So going forward in Tshwane, definitely there's going to be a coalition that is going to govern that municipality, but But in order for that municipality to be stable, in my view, the party with the plurality of votes, even though no party is going to emerge with an outright majority, but there is going to be a majority party, which is the party with the plurality of votes. That is the party that must be given the first opportunity to form a government. And it has to find people partners that it can work with, and it cannot succeed if what puts that coalition together is hatred or opposition to one party. So there has to be the party that emerges with the highest number of votes being given an opportunity to form a government, and it would look for parties that it shares some values with, as was the case, for instance, in Ekurhuleni, the ANC there led with the AIC and the PAC, and if you look at those parties, they have something in common. It's unlike a situation where you had in Tshwane, for instance, where the EFF worked with the DA to block the ANC. There's nothing in common between the DA and the EFF other than that they were both opposed to the ANC, and such coalitions don't usually succeed.
All right, political analyst Makhosini Mgitywa, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on the program. Let's just take you through a bit here. This, of course, the first look that we're having at the Gauteng Results Centre, of course, as we monitor those key metros, Johannesburg, Tshwane, as well as Ekurhuleni. Just take a look here. I'm just going to get out of shot, and my colleague Herbert Memela will show you with, of course, party agents here. You've also got various political parties. Right in front here, of course, ActionSA, I think, hoping for a bit more on that leaderboard, which is right behind us. Other political parties as well towards my right there. And certainly we're expecting over the next couple of hours, Unati, for it to be a little bit of a hive of activity here as those results continue to trickle in. Back to you in studio.